Hello everyone, I'm Lao Gao. About 2 months ago, on March 2nd, in the outskirts of Bogota, Colombia, a woman named Maria accidentally discovered a silver-white sphere flying in the sky. She immediately recorded it with her phone. The time was around 2 p.m. At that time, another group of people also captured this sphere from a different location, so this sphere was independently filmed by two groups from two different angles. From the video, the sphere's flight speed doesn't appear to be fast. It was not particularly far from the ground. Witnesses claim that this sphere was indeed radiating light and emitting a unique sound. Although we might not be able to perceive it distinctly in the video, it seems that the sound can still be heard to some extent. The flight trajectory was in a zigzag manner, moving leftward and rightward alternately. This indicates that the object was not merely drifting with the wind, meaning it wasn't something like a balloon. It might have been moving deliberately or being controlled by someone. Its flight pattern was quite similar to a drone, but from its appearance it lacked any visible propulsion system. The ball eventually fell while flying and landed in the woods. The person who filmed it said that before filming, the ball seemed to have touched the high-voltage power lines on the nearby mountain, leading to suspicions it might have been shocked and then fell. However, it didn't fall right away. It descended slowly. As mentioned earlier, another group, two farmers, captured this object and were closer to the ball's location, following the direction it fell. About 50 meters away in the bushes of the forest, the ball was very noticeable because it had a metallic sheen, creating a stark contrast with the surrounding environment, so it was found quickly. In the video, you can see a man in a yellow shirt picking up the ball. This man in the yellow shirt is one of the witnesses, and his name is Jose. Jose is a very common name in Colombia. It is said that the person who filmed the video intentionally hid their real name. The object seemed a bit larger than a basketball. After parting ways with Maria and the others, they uploaded the video they shot to social media. Initially, this matter didn't attract much attention because these two people might not have been very well known. However, Jose's video was seen by the owner of a local metal detection equipment company, a person named David Belez. He contacted Jose and asked if they could give them the ball for testing, as this is what they specialize in. Jose gave him the ball, and then a few weeks later, on March 29th, why did Jose give him the ball? After Jose came into contact with the mysterious ball, he immediately became unwell and was sick for several days. He likely thought the ball wasn't beneficial, so when someone requested it, he handed it over without hesitation. Belez took possession of the ball and sent it to his company for a series of tests. Approximately 2 weeks later, on March 26th, Belez uploaded some footage of the ball being tested at the company, along with the video of Jose discovering the ball, to YouTube. It quickly went viral, at least attracting significant attention in the Spanish-speaking community, as the related videos were initially disseminated in Spanish or Portuguese. The Spanish-speaking community on YouTube is huge, even bigger than the Chinese-speaking one, so this has gained a lot of attention. Plus, UFOs are often reported in South America, especially in Brazil and Mexico. While Colombia doesn't have as many sightings, there are occasional reports. A key reason this incident got reported is that despite UFO rumors over the years, capturing or obtaining one is rare, right? Even if they are obtained, they're usually taken by officials or government agencies. This type of occurrence, where such an object is taken by an individual, is likely the first instance in recent years. Consequently, everyone is extremely interested in this particular matter. According to Barris, who is the proprietor of the metal detection equipment company, when Jose initially picked up the ball and brought it to his home, he weighed it right away because he noticed the ball was exceptionally light. Even though it appeared to be metallic on the exterior, it felt remarkably light in his hand. Then he weighed it and found that the object was only 2 kilograms, almost as if it were hollow, and there was no sound when shaken. However, he gradually realized something was off. The weight of the sphere was changing, becoming heavier. Indeed, when Beret brought the sphere back to the company and weighed it, the weight had increased to 99 kilograms. In just a few days, Beret also noted that the weight of the sphere continued to change. They mentioned that if the sphere were made of pure iron, it would be quite significant, with the possibility of weighing several dozen kilograms. From the outside, the sphere appears to be made of pure metal. The exact type of metal is still unclear, even though the company, Barris, specializes in metal detection. Currently, they are unable to determine the material of this sphere. Moreover, according to them, the surface of the sphere shows no signs of welding, meaning it is not assembled. Although there are some patterns on the surface, they are not welding marks. The sphere is a solid piece. According to the research by Bales, it has a very unique property. It feels cold to the touch. However, when water is poured on it, the water vaporizes. For the water to vaporize quickly, the sphere would need to be over 100 degrees Celsius, yet it feels cool to the touch, and the sphere itself does not seem to heat up, at least not to the touch. After the video went viral on March 26th, David Bales and his company faced significant public pressure. On one hand, many people wanted them to disclose more details. On the other hand, many people believe that the sphere is a hoax, and it's easy to imagine that if a company claimed to have discovered something like this, their phones would be ringing off the hook. While they were quite troubled, Jaime Maussan, a famous Mexican UFO scholar and television personality, contacted David Bales and expressed their desire to take over the research of the sphere. Bales quickly agreed, as they did not want to bear any more pressure. Jaime Maussan mentioned that following numerous endeavors, he successfully transported the sphere to Mexico. It was disclosed that throughout this procedure, Russia exhibited significant interest in the sphere and conveyed a strong desire to acquire it, but Maussan and his team declined the offer. Maussan promptly gathered a team of specialists to perform scientific analyses on the sphere. The team was spearheaded by a radiation specialist named Dr. Velasquez. First, they conducted a radiological examination of the sphere and found that it was not radioactive, so close contact was not an issue. Then they performed an X-ray scan and confirmed that the sphere had no welding marks. Inside, it has a 3-layer structure. Although the specific contents are unknown, it is solid and filled with some unknown substance, which cannot be identified through the X-ray. It is evident from the X-ray that there are 16 small spheres surrounding a core, and this core is noticeably denser. However, what exactly the core is cannot be determined from the scan. It is said that the positions of these 16 small spheres are not fixed and seem to be moving, so it is possible that the inside contains some kind of liquid or a complex mechanical structure. Later, they also conducted some magnetic tests on the sphere using a magnet and found that the sphere itself is not magnetic. However, they unexpectedly discovered that when a magnet approaches the sphere, its hardness changes. Whether it becomes harder or softer was not specified, and it might not have a consistent tendency to change. After conducting some tests, although we have learned a bit about the interior of the sphere, most of it remains a mystery. We still don't know exactly what is inside. What we do know for sure now is that the surface of the sphere has symbolic patterns. Personally, I find the central pattern most interesting. It clearly resembles the internal structure they observed in the X-ray examination, with 16 small spheres connected to something that looks like a chip. Although the X-ray didn't reveal it as a chip, the surface illustration depicts it as one. This suggests that the surface pattern might be an explanation of the internal structure. Surrounding this central pattern is a ring. The pattern that looks like text is composed of various language symbols and hieroglyphs. Since it doesn't belong to any specific writing system, it couldn't be directly deciphered, so they got involved. The AI analyzed this pictographic text and said that it contains a sentence. This sentence is quite mysterious, stating that in the cycle of transformation, the origin born through the combination and energy unifies the expansion with consciousness, as well as the convergence point of individual consciousness. I perceive that what he is conveying is that the source of energy is essentially the culmination of all individual consciousness, implying that the entire universe is in fact the aggregation of consciousness. That is somewhat the impression it gives. So that is approximately the information we presently understand. Interestingly, a similar occurrence took place in Colombia 5 years ago, and it was indeed verified. It happened in February 2020 when an Airbus A320 was on a routine flight over Colombia. At that time, the cruising altitude was about 30,000 feet, which is the normal cruising altitude for a passenger plane. The captain happened to notice something flying past their plane outside the window. So, the captain immediately took out a camera to capture it. This was a metallic-looking object speeding by in a straight line. From a distance, it looked like a sphere, but upon magnification it seemed more like a cube. There was something rotating around this cube, so from afar it appeared somewhat spherical. The color was silvery gray, and it seemed darker compared to the sphere this time. 5 years ago, this had already been ruled out. It was dismissed as a balloon, yet what it truly is continues to be a mystery. Furthermore, there were 2 comparable occurrences we previously discussed in the UF hearing film. One took place on July 12, 2022, when a United States military drone recorded footage of an unidentified flying sphere in the Middle Eastern region. This is genuine and has been officially recognized by the US government. They monitored this sphere, but in the end, its identity remains a mystery. This sphere was traveling in a straight path. Additionally, in 2016, the US military captured a similar sphere over the northern Iraqi city of Mosul. These 2 recordings by the US military are somewhat similar to the one in Colombia, right? But speaking of which, what's particularly special about this one in Buga is that it has been captured, hasn't it? It's currently the only one that has been captured. Regarding the Buga sphere, I've noticed that most people online remain skeptical because there's limited public information. Even though the images of the sphere have been released so clearly, people still express disbelief, especially when they see the patterns on it, which clearly look like a piece of art. However, I think the patterns are fine, considering that the designs on the golden record sent out by the Voyager are also quite simple. It's straightforward, not intricate, correct? We possess a variety of advanced technological devices nowadays, and we haven't displayed all of them. Therefore, I believe we cannot determine from the designs whether this object is crafted by humans or originates from extraterrestrial civilizations. There remain numerous questionable aspects regarding this incident. I find it intriguing that they handled the sphere with their hands, which suggests to me that they possess considerable knowledge about it, right? At the very least, they seem assured that the sphere presents no danger. They dare to touch it with their hands. So how do they know this sphere is not harmful, right? If you know it yourself, then you know it's not harmful, right? So this point is very suspicious. Other than that, it's okay. Overall, this matter is still hard to say, and we can wait for further developments. After all, this sphere is in the hands of the public. I think it would be quite interesting if it's in the hands of the public. If there's a chance to cut open this sphere, then maybe all of a sudden, it would then be revealed to the world. After all, if the inside looks so complex and once opened, it turns out to be something that Earth civilization couldn't possibly create, people might be convinced. Another point is that there is now a clear tendency that if something is not seen with one's own eyes and is only spread through pictures or videos online, it's normal for people to be skeptical, because it's relatively easy to create fake images or videos nowadays. Conversely, if this sphere is real, If it really was something made by an unknown civilization, then this sphere would definitely not be the aliens themselves or a UFO they are traveling in. It would definitely be a probe. Just like when we explore an unknown civilization, we first send out probes. Aliens would certainly send probes first. They themselves wouldn't come over. So the possibility of finding aliens inside is almost non-existent. Although some people online have expressed the opinion that this thing looks a bit like an organism. Some people suspect that there might be liquid inside, and overall it looks like some kind of organism or cell, doesn't it? Okay, let's stop here for now. If more detailed and reliable information comes out in the future, we will be the first to interpret it for you. So let's end here today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Time.